Good morning. I'm Bernadette Gray-Little, Executive Vice Chancellor and Provost, and it is my pleasure to be with you this morning. On behalf of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, I am honored to welcome our most distinguished guest, Dr. Muhammad Yunus, winner of the 2006 Nobel Peace Prize for his innovative work in microfinance and development economics. Dr. Yunus, our students and faculty have been inspired by your work over the years, and we have intensified our focus on social entrepreneurship. And as I was just saying to you, I have been pleased to learn the difference between social entrepreneurship and social business over the weekend as I was reading your book. In 2003, UNC was one of 8 universities selected by the Ewan Marion Kauffman Foundation to receive a multi-million-dollar grant supporting campus-wide entrepreneurship education, the Carolina Entrepreneurship Initiative. UNC was also recently named America's most entrepreneurial campus by Princeton Review and Forbes.com. Students have been instrumental in fostering this success through their creation of the Carolina Microfinance Initiative, or CMI. CMI began with support from the business school, and it expanded its mission to educate the Carolina community about microfinance and to train students to work in microfinance all over the world. Given the deep enthusiasm of our faculty and students for entrepreneurship and for microfinance, it is especially an honor to hear today from a visionary in this field, the author of the recently published book, Creating a World Without Poverty. We are fortunate to have you with us. I would also like to thank Dr. Muhammad Yunus and our colleague Elmira Mangum, who made it possible for us to host Dr. Yunus today. We are also grateful to the sponsors of today's lecture. These include the Kenan-Flagler Business School, the Office of International Affairs, Carolina Entrepreneurial Initiative, Carolina Microfinance Initiative, the Center for Sustainable Enterprise, ASHA, the Humanitarian Organization for Bangladesh, and the Campus Y. Dr. Yunus is considered to be a pioneer of microcredit, a strategy to reduce poverty by providing small loans to entrepreneurs too poor to qualify for traditional bank loans. These loans allow borrowers to establish or expand businesses that support their families and benefit the local community. Believing that credit is a fundamental human right, Dr. Yunus established the Grameen Bank in Bangladesh in 1983 and currently serves as managing director. Now the bank has more than 2,000 branches in over 80,000 villages. About 95% of the bank's equity is owned by its 7.6 million borrowers. 97% of those borrowers are women. By lending to women, Grameen offers credit to the poorest and the least empowered, and no collateral is required for borrowing. A recent survey conducted by the bank found that 65% of Grameen borrowers have crossed the poverty line, and the rest are moving toward the poverty line from below it. Today, lending institutions in more than 100 countries operate based on the Grameen Bank model. In recognition of this extraordinary work, the Nobel Peace Prize was awarded to Dr. Yunus and to the Grameen Bank in 2006. Dr. Yunus received his BA and MA degrees in economics from Dhaka University in Bangladesh, and his PhD in economics from Vanderbilt University, where he was a Fulbright scholar. He has taught at Middle Tennessee State University, at Chittagong College and Chittagong University in Bangladesh, and we are delighted that we are able to welcome him here today. After his remarks, Dr. Yunus will take audience questions, facilitated by Jay Swaminathan, Senior Associate Dean for Academic Affairs here at Kenan-Flagler. And I want you to join me in welcoming Dr. Yunus as he talks to us, and we reflect on the almost unimaginable effects that a good idea put into effect by dedicated people can have on the lives of so many. Dr. Yunus?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning. I'm delighted to come here this morning and get a chance to meet you, and a privilege to explain what we do, how we got involved in it, and what it means to us and means to other people around the world. And as I was going around and meeting students here, I see everybody knows about Grameen Bank, so I don't have to add anything new. And I feel happy that you have been taking interest in our work. It's a long story now. It started in 1976 in one village in Bangladesh, right next to the university campus. I began as a teacher, teaching in the university, economics, and got involved with the village next door because economic situation in Bangladesh was so terrible at that time, back in 1976. And I was trying to see if there's something that I can do to help people in a personal way, in an individual way. And that was the beginning of it. The microcredit thing began because I saw people borrowing money from the loan sharks, small, tiny amount, but they grabbed the whole person, whole family for their own use, and convert the family into kind of slave labor for just lending that money. So I was trying to see how intensive that loan sharking is in the village. So I made a list of people who were borrowing from the loan sharks. That's the list, which had 42 names on it. And the total loan that took came out to $27. So I thought I can solve this problem. It is something that within my capacity to find the solution. And the solution was to give this money from my pocket and tell them that return the money to the loan sharks and be free. And that excited them a lot when I gave that money and they returned the money. And I thought I should continue, because if you can make so many people so happy with such a small amount of money, why shouldn't you do more of it? So I wanted to do more of it. And that took me to the banks to link. I thought I'd link the people with the bank. And bank said it cannot be done. It's impossible because poor people are not creditworthy. So all the following days, I'm trying to struggle to demonstrate to them they are creditworthy. And in the process, what we began in 1976, we converted into a formal bank called Grameen Bank, or a village bank, and kept on expanding. Today, it's a global phenomenon. Wherever you go, there's some kind of microcredit in this country. And in this context of the global financial crisis, this raises a very interesting question, because all over the world, wherever microcredit works, their repayment is still as high as ever, near 100%, 98%, 99%. Even the small program we started last year in New York City, calling it Grameen America, in Jackson Heights in New York, started Grameen-style banking with the 5 women getting together, forming a group, taking loans for income-generating activity, whatever they knew what to do with the money, and paying back in weekly installments. And now we have about 500 borrowers in that program, all women, and their repayment has been 99.3%. Never went below 99%. So average loan is about $2,200. You have an interesting contrast where the same city where the big banks are. They can't get their money back. And the tiny little thing which right there, right at the same time, recovering their money, no problem. No collateral, no lawyers, no papers to tie them down. So it's a good time to raise the question, who is creditworthy? Because it's very clear that back in 1976, the banker was telling me the poor are not creditworthy. It showed out that everywhere, all around the world, they are the most creditworthy people after all. And this is what the paradox of the whole situation. And globally, the financial system as it exists leaves out billions of people from their service. And as a result, they have to struggle with their life, facing their life in the most adverse circumstances, because nothing is open to them. Even the doors of the financial institutions are blocked. People ask me, how did you design this bank, which works without collateral, without lawyers? And I try to explain to them, but instead of making it a complicated explanation, what I try to say, it was very simple for us to design this bank with no complication at all. All we do, whenever we need a policy, we need a principle, we look at the conventional banks, what they do. Once we figure out what they do, we do the opposite. And it works. They go to the rich and the richest possible. We go to the poor and the poorest possible. They go to men, we go to women. 97% of our borrowers are women. Out of 7.6 million borrowers we have in Bangladesh, overwhelmingly women. And the conventional banks are owned by rich. If you own a bank, you must be very rich. And usually men, rich men. Our bank is owned by poor and poor women. So the bank is owned by all the borrowers. It's not a bank owned by somebody else. So we reverse that too. And we made our principle that people should not come to the bank. Bank should go to the people. So there again, we reverse the procedure that the conventional banks have. You have to come to their premises to do the banking. We do the other way. And of course, we don't have the collateral. They want the collateral. They want their lawyers to come, and the best lawyers possible to tie you up. We don't have any lawyers. We don't need them. So you go piece by piece. You can see the reversal of the whole system. In a conventional bank, they will try to figure out your past credit records or credit history. We made it a rule that we don't want to dig into the past of any borrower. We try to explain to our staff in their training repeatedly that we are not interested in the past of a person. We're interested in the future of the person. No matter what she has done in the past, let's not get into it. Because poor people must have done lots of different things you may not like. But you shouldn't punish them for that, because the circumstances push them many things. Our job is to build the future for them. So we want to build the future. Whether the person is a criminal, who's just coming out of the jail or whatever, that's not something we can control. All we can do, we can give them the loan, rehabilitate the person so that he or she can move on with their life. So you can go on picking those elements, how different we are. The interesting thing that it works. And it makes such a big difference in their life. These are all illiterate families. Education never entered their families ever. One of the early things we wanted to do, make sure we encourage the borrowers to send their children to school. And we had organized many different things. I'm not going into those elaborate things. And it worked. And we have the children in school. All the children of Grameen families are in school. And then we give them scholarships so that they can continue with their education, to also to recognize all the kids who are at the top of the classes. It's an amazing thing, coming from the first time from the totally illiterate families, coming to the class and being at the top of the class and maintaining that position. So we wanted to recognize it, we wanted to celebrate it. So that's how we introduced the scholarships. We give out about more than 50,000 scholarships every year. And then these kids keep continuing in the class, in the high schools, and then come to the colleges. At the higher education level, it becomes expensive, and their parents cannot afford to support them. So we said, don't worry. The bank will give you the education loan. So for every student who can come to the higher education, it's a guaranteed education loan. You don't have to prove that you don't have to compete with anybody else. Just go on and continue with their education. Right now, there are more than 34,000 students in education loan, studying in medical schools, engineering schools, in universities. So you have a completely new generation of young people coming up from the traditional illiterate families, poor families. And one thing, I got into a controversy in many, many conferences excuse me, that I attend, people saying that microcredit is good only for the entrepreneurial poor. And that word, that description kind of doesn't go well with me, because I feel all human beings are entrepreneurs. This is my position. Entrepreneurship is a part of human being. It's not a separate thing that you have, somebody has and somebody doesn't have. Simply, unfortunate fact is, some of us discover our talent of entrepreneurship. Others never had the opportunity to find it out. Wonderful gift that we have inside of us. For billions in the world do not have the luck to just to unwrap that gift, to see what is in there. And that's what the poverty is all about. All human beings are packed with unlimited potentials. Simply, they never had the opportunity to know about it, never had the opportunity to unleash it, so that you can contribute, you can change the world, your own and the world of everybody else. So what I did, I wanted to demonstrate it rather than argue about it, because argument is word versus word, doesn't take anywhere. So I said, let's do it. So we started a program focusing exclusively on the beggars. The reason we chose beggars, we thought this is the last stage of human survival, that you cannot be any more poorer than that. That's it. And we went around, started talking to the beggars to understand their life, how they struggle every day for their survival. Then once we get to know each other, we propose to them, as they go from house to house begging, would they like to carry some merchandise with them, some cookies, some candies, some little toys for the kids, and give people options. When you go to houses, knocking at the door, you can say, like you did before, if they would give you something to eat or some money to buy some food, or you can tell that here is something I want to sell. Would you like to buy something from me? So you have more options. Either they buy something or give you something in charity, or do both. No problem. They like the idea. And we thought there'll be 2,000, 3,000 beggars in our program, and we'll see how they do. But it became such a popular program. We ended up having more than 100,000 beggars in the program. We started 4 years back. Now in 4 years, very interesting results we see. More than 11,000 beggars have stopped begging completely because they became successful door-to-door salesperson. It's a business. And the remaining 90,000 or so, I would say they are part-time beggars. Sometimes they beg, sometimes they sell. And they're very smart. They will tell you which house is good for begging and which house is good for selling. I tell my colleagues, look at that. They've never been to business school. They figured out the market segmentation. We made it very simple for them. We told them, this is a loan. You have to pay us back. So this is not something charity. But there is no interest on this. We made it interest-free for them. And we assured them this money will never grow. Whatever you have taken, that's the amount you'll pay us back. And we told them that there is no time limit. There is no maturity date for your loan. So you are not in a hurry to pay it back. Take your time. And nobody can complain that you are a defaulter because you don't have a time limit. How can you be a defaulter? So feel absolutely relaxed. The only thing is, if you pay us back anytime you do, you are ready to take the second loan. And when you pay back the second loan, you get the third loan and move as you want. It's up to you to decide. Out of these 100,000 beggars, many are in second loan, many in the third loan, many even in the fourth loans. And it shows that if you give tiniest little chance to people, how they can grab it, how they can move on with their life. And what is the size of the loan that we give? The first time borrowing ranges about $12 to $15. If a $15 loan can help a beggar to find his way or her way out of begging, all you did is just lend $15, that's all. Why in the world we don't do it? I cannot figure it out. We could have done this $15 as a handout. Grameen Bank is big enough bank to afford that kind of money. It's no problem for us. But the issue is, if you had given it as a handout, would they have changed their life? No. Probably they will enjoy this $15 and come back 15 days later, give me some more. They will remain beggars. Because we treated them as beggars, they will remain beggars. But we treated them as business partners, they are treating us as business partners. And you go on seeing the condition, how people have changed their life over time in Grameen Bank, all these women. And you ask the question, why poverty? Who creates poverty? An answer to me always the same. Poverty is not created by the poor people. It's not their fault. Poverty is created by the system, by the institutions that we built, by the policies that we pursue, by the concepts that we have designed. And that's why university is so important, because university plays a very important role in designing those things. So we are not kind of say, okay, we are looking from outside. It's not that. We are part of it. Look at the institutions that we designed called banking. Who told banks that you should not lend money to the poor people? This is not your business. In the process, we created such a kind of a skewed system. The people who have money, they got a lot of money. People who don't have money, they got none. So we create a society completely upside down. Today, after 32 years of this work, can anybody say that poor are not creditworthy? And particularly, as I said, in the context of this crisis, the kind of contrast that it presents. So I'm saying when we come out of this crisis. We should come out with having a new kind of financial system. Let's not go back to the old financial system, which is wrong. The new financial system should be an inclusive system. Nobody should be rejected from the financial system. It's your job, the banker's job, to design it the right way, rather than saying somebody is creditworthy and somebody is not creditworthy. And I've been raising this question. I said, it's not banker's job to tell who is creditworthy or not. It is the job of us outside the bank to tell whether the banks are people-worthy or not. We have to make them people-worthy. So this is what the task ahead of us as we move on. And the other issue is the concept. And I have been focusing on the concept of business. I said this very strange concept that we have in the whole economic theory. Business is the business of making money. Profit maximization is the mission of business. So we train everybody how to maximize profit. And we go in the business and we are focusing on maximizing profit. We are absolutely sharply aiming at that. And I see this as an interpretation of human being in a very distorted fashion. Because you treat human beings in this economic theory as a one-dimensional being. All they do is make money. But the real human beings are so different. Real human beings are multidimensional beings, not a single-dimensional beings. Human beings are not money-making robots, which theory kind of presented it that way. I said, that's why we create so much of the problem. We are so focused on that, playing that role of a robot. We have ignored problems that we create in the process. We cannot go back and clean it up because we are busy making money. But human beings, to introduce the full human being in the business world, we need to address the other issues of other dimensions of human beings. If a human being is a selfish human being, of course there's a selfishness is a part of us. But don't forget, selflessness is also part of us. You cannot throw it away. So now, if you want to demonstrate that self, or you want to fulfill your urge to be selfless, you have to step outside of business and become a philanthropist. I said, why can't we do it in a business world? After all, economics is a social science. We have to take the whole human being into it. I said, we can develop a business on the basis of the selflessness of human being and let it be included in the whole theory. And that business will be a business of the type where we don't want to make money for ourselves in that business. All we want to do is change the world. So the money-making business, we want to get everything to ourselves. In the other type of business, we want to get everything to the others, nothing for us. And I'm calling it social business. It's a business, but not for the purpose of personally benefiting from it, for the purpose of achieving a social goal. It's a non-loss, non-dividend company with a social objective. We created many of those companies. It's a long list of companies we did over years, and that we realized is doable. But it became more known to other people when we joined hands with a multinational company, big company, like Danone. It's a French company producing yogurts. So what we did, we created a Grameen Danone company in Bangladesh, and it started producing yogurt. Same delicious yogurt that Danone produces elsewhere. But this is a social business. Then why does social business produce yogurt? Because there are millions of children in Bangladesh who are malnourished. And it's not only Bangladesh, there are many, many countries around the world. Millions and millions malnourished children. What we do, we pick up all the micronutrients which are missing in the children, vitamin, iron, zinc, iodine, and put it in the yogurt. The beauty of Danone is they have found the technology so that the taste of the yogurt is not disturbed by putting all these elements into it. It doesn't taste like medicine or something, it smells medicine. It's still the same delicious yogurt. Contains all those ingredients. We make it very cheap and sell it to the poor children. Make it very affordable. And experts tell us if a child takes 2 cups of this yogurt every week and continue to do it over 8 months or 9 months of time, the child will regain all the macronutrients and become a healthy child. So between a profit-making company and a social business like Grameen Danone, in a profit-making company, yogurt company, you will be asking your CEO at the end of the year, how much money we made this year? In a social business company like Grameen Danone, you will be asking your CEO, how many children got out of malnutrition this year? So the very objective is different. And that fact I try to explain. I said we are almost all of us wearing profit maximizing glasses with us. So we see the world through the eyes of the profit maximization. So we see the highs, lows, and all the valleys, everything with the profit maximizing world. And we are going for our way. We reaches the next big peak in the profit maximizing world. So we can't see anything else because we have the profit maximizing glasses on. I'm saying that why can't we take this profit maximizing glasses off and put on the social business glasses for a while and look at the world. The world will look completely different. Your thinking process becomes totally different. When we designed Grameen Danone, one of the questions that I asked to the Danone people who are busy as a profit-making organization throughout the world, they have been working with this company for years and years. I asked the simple question about the container of this yogurt as you sell. I said, it looks like plastic. Is it plastic? He said, yes, they are plastic. I said, in a social business, we don't want to use plastic. Can't you find some biodegradable material to use this container? So we never used such thing. All over the world, you use this plastic. I said, all over the world, you do profit-making business. Here, you are doing social business. So your thinking has to be consistent with our work. So they were not very happy about it. But they went around. After all, they agreed to do a social business. And I'm the one defining to them what is a social business. They cannot challenge it. They don't know anything about social business. So poor fellows went around the world trying to find that biodegradable material which is good for container. Finally, they were happy. About 3 months later, they come back to me. Oh, we found it. What is it? Where did you find it? We found it in China. This is cornstarch. It's a great material. It's good for making cups. So they brought some specimen of those cups they made with the cornstarch. And I took it and I started bringing it to my mouth. I said, can I eat it? So no, you can't eat it. Don't do that. And then they say, why do you want to eat this cup? You should be eating the yogurt when it is ready. I said, no, I'm thinking the other way. I mean, if poor people are paying for this cup, it's not free for them. Why poor people should be paying for this cup, which cups to no use for them? Why can't you make it edible cups? Why edible cups? I said, not only edible cups, it should contain nutrition. So that our objective is nutrition. So why can't we use everything that we have to carry nutrition? Oh, that is impossible. We never heard of that. I said, well, I buy ice cream, and I get it in an ice cream cone. I eat the ice cream. I eat the cone too. It's very good. I like it. Why can't you come up something like this? They said, no, ice cream cone is this is not the same thing. I said, I know that. But that's why you have your scientists to figure it out. I said, why don't you ask your scientists? They have a huge research facility in Paris. Why don't you ask your scientists to come up with that? So they, seeing that I'm stubborn about it, Finally, they said, maybe it will take a year or more to find that out. I said, why don't you make it for 6 months? Find it out. So they are still struggling to find it, but now they take it very seriously. And the scientists are very happy. They said, nobody ever asked that question to us before. How can we answer something if there is no question? Now that you raise the question, we are trying to find a way. It's a very interesting question for us. See, we have to ask the right question. When you are in social business, suddenly you ask a very different kind of questions, which are not the same. The prices go down completely. Cost of production go down completely. Because you don't need any fancy packaging. You are not trying to push away from other company to your company or bring customers to your company by fancy design of your cup or fancy marketing cost. So there's no marketing cost, there's no fancy designing cost. Those things come down. So we created another company, Grameen Veolia. It's a water company. Veolia is again a huge, big water company in the world. Bangladesh has a big problem of drinking water because our water is highly contaminated with arsenic, a poison. And no solution. Millions and millions of people in Bangladesh drink poison every day. And their children drink poison every day. And no solution. Because there is no other source of water. So what we have done with the joint venture with Veolia, create a tiny little water treatment plant in villages of Bangladesh. And then produce Veolia quality water, top quality water for the villages of Bangladesh, but as a social business. So that the companies can take back their investment money and no dividend beyond that and solve the problem of water. And we made it so cheap because now we don't need those fancy things anymore. Same water, if you put it in a bottle, put it in the shelf, it will cost you $1 per bottle or something like that. But here we are selling 4 liters of water per penny. And it recovers the cost. Because as a business, you have to recover the cost. That is the number one condition. Otherwise, you are not a business. You are a charity. We don't want to be charity. Because in charity, you give the money, it does the job, it never comes back to you. So if you want to do it again, you need a fresh money to give it behind it. But in a social business, if you design the same thing in a social business, your social business money recycles again and again and again, up to perpetuity. In the process, you get much more done. So we are now creating a series of those social businesses. Just now, we have signed an agreement with BASF, which is a huge chemical company in the world, in Germany, to produce treated mosquito nets in Bangladesh. So we'll have a plant, produce treated mosquito nets so that people can sleep peacefully without getting bitten by the bugs, by the mosquitoes, and save themselves from all kinds of mosquito-borne diseases like dengue, like malaria, and many others. So this could be another social business. We are talking to a huge car company. One of the discussions that we had, that they are interested in seeing what kind of social business they can do. I said, very simple, design a car. This is your car business for Bangladesh, so that people at the very bottom level can afford it. How do you do that? I said, that's your task. Yes, I don't know. I don't design cars. Because you are making fancy cars for fancy people, but now you design car for people who never been on a car before. Make it very cheap, but it should have a green engine. This is number one condition. And the engine should have multiple use, not just sit in the car. When we need irrigation, we take it out and put it in irrigation. We have the irrigation. When we need electricity, we connect it with the generator, we have electricity. Or when we need to put in a boat so that we can have the engine in the boat. So that someone who buys it has all the options easily available. They said, well, that's an interesting question, but we don't know. We can work on it. So they promised that they want to work on it. And then if they are ready, we'll have another social business coming up. With a big shoe company, they were discussing with us what kind of thing they can do. I said, simple thing you do, First, start with a logo or a kind of a theme for yourself, your company, if you believe in it. The logo will be our pledge. Nobody in the world should go barefoot. Nobody will be without shoes. We ensure that we will produce shoes for everybody at an affordable price. That's it. So there's no question about it. Now you work for it. I said, to begin with, what you can do, put your brand name, which is a very popular brand, put your brand name on top of it, and produce shoes under $1, so that people who cannot buy your shoes with such an extremely high price can put it on. And the people who cannot wear shoes now can wear shoes. So you can come up with, and it has to be green shoe, so that you don't have any material in that which is creating problem for the planet. So you can come up with healthcare is a very interesting area for social business, and this is what we are trying to address right now. So what I'm saying that if you could redesign the system, put the social business alongside with the business of profit making, then the world becomes a very different one. We can take our opportunity, we can grow up, our children can grow up, our students can grow up thinking, what kind of job should I take? Should I work for a profit-making company or should I work for a social business? It's up to them to decide. Or one can decide, what will I do as an investor? Should I invest or should I become an entrepreneur to create profit-making businesses, or should I become an entrepreneur for social business? Or do both. Nobody's objecting to that. There's no reason why you cannot do both. Maybe you should treat profit-making business as the means and social business as the end. Today is a very funny situation. Profit-maximizing business is a means and profit-maximizing business is end. Does it make sense? What do you do with all the money you made? There's no place. So this gives you option what you do. And in the universities like here, like we have MBA classes in business schools, we have MBA degrees, we will be soon needing another department to produce social MBAs. MBAs will be ready to go out and design businesses for social objective, to create social businesses, work in the social business, because their whole calculations are completely different. Their way of looking at the issue is completely different. Like the questions that I raised at the end of the year, asking how much money we made or how much children got out of malnutrition. So those are the questions that need to be answered. If you redesign the system piece by piece, the financial institutions, business institutions, and related other issues, then we create a completely different world. And in that world, nobody has to be a poor person anymore, because it is not inside the human being. It is artificial. Poverty is artificially imposed on human being. So if you lift all those conditions which created that artificial conditions, nobody will be a poor person. Then we can create the poverty museum that we promised. That only place you'll see poverty will be in the museum. Thank you.
So the question is that there is a lot of thought about the social entrepreneurship, social business over the last 60 years. And is it currently happening, or what would it need for it to be very successful?
Well, the microfinance idea has spread around the world. And that's why you've been studying. I see many students today talking. They study microfinance, and I met people who are familiar with microfinance. So in the beginning, people didn't understand what is this microfinance. At least now, familiar is in the textbook. You're studying, you're writing papers on it. And that makes you think that can we do something about it. Similar is the social business. I was just giving examples. I mean, these are not kind of NGOs who said, okay, let's do something. These are very hard-nosed business people, chief executives talking. When I talk about the car company or the shoe company, they are very serious people. They look at their stock market price, how it's going up every day, every minute. They are not getting involved in some silly things. So they are talking at least. And we already have signed up and produced social businesses with big companies like Danone and Veolia and BASF and so many others who were coming. So seeing that, I was in Davos right before I came here, and I had a chance to meet many other chief executives of businesses. And they're very serious, want to discuss and talk, see how to go about it and what kind of things they can do. So I would say there is a response, and particularly this crisis has created another opportunity. People are looking around. What did we go wrong? And here is something that may make sense to them. And if gradually it makes sense, and ultimate thing, does it come to the classroom? Because this is where all begins, to make people think, that you plan your life accordingly, what kind of life I would like to have, and how do we get involved. One of the challenge of social business is to design a social business. That is what needs enormous amount of creativity, and young people are full of those creativity. You can do it in your spare hours, just design a social business. If I don't like something, I want to address it by social business. I don't like people to be on welfare. Can I make a social business so that I can help 50 people, 100 people out of welfare as a business? Oh, I come up with a brilliant idea. This is a beautiful idea, and this is a beautiful business. I can do it. If you can do it for 100 people or 50 people, what you really have done, you develop the seed. Once you have developed the seed, now you multiply the seed. You plant it anywhere, it grows the same way, you can solve the whole problem. The challenge is to develop that seed. That, like when microfinance began, it was in one village, few people, but it worked. And the whole world had to go for it. And it doesn't need anymore the same people who did it in one village to come and do it. Everybody's doing it all around the world because you develop the seed. So when we do Grameen Danone, it's a seed. Now somebody can pick it up and do anywhere they want. Grameen Veolia is a seed. If it works out, you have the seed developed. You can improve on it, but you have the seed in your hand. So that's the challenge.
Next question. Lady up there. Yes.
Hi.
I just want to say thank you so much for coming. I know that you're an inspiration to
Thank you.
What I'm wondering about is, it seems that Grameen Bank, as well as most microcredit institutions, really focus on women, and I was wondering what kind of changes and improvements we can make to include men and make it as effective and helpful in lifting men out of poverty.
So the question is that most of microcredit and such businesses are focused towards or primarily geared towards women. What could be done to include men also in such businesses?
Yeah. We don't exclude men. We address the whole family. The only thing, we enter the family through women because it makes more impact in the family. We begin by doing 50-50, half of the numbers women and half the numbers are men. Then over years we saw the impact is so different in the family. So we thought if impact makes such a big difference by entering either one way or the other, why don't we enter the family to the right door, the women? So we started focusing on women. That's how it became 97% women. Those who are following those principles find out that why bother with 3% men anymore? Why just don't do the whole 100%? Because we had to do it 97% and kind of try to restrain that it doesn't go beyond, because we started from 50%. We had a big struggle even to include the women into the system. My struggle was entire banking system in Bangladesh, there were not even 1% borrowers in those banks. In one occasion, they were asking me, the bankers were asking me in a conference after 10 years of our operation, they were asking me, why did you change the name of your bank? Call it Grameen Women's Bank, because you have so many women in your bank. At that time, we were 73% women in 1986. And because several people suggested similar change of name, when I had to stand up and answer all those questions, I had to answer this one also. I said, yes, I'll change the name. I agree with you. But you have to change the name first. You have to call X men's bank, Y men's bank, Z men's bank, because you are 99.9% men. So this was kind of reversal of that. But we have not forgotten the man. We give loans to the man. Don't get the impression that we give loans to the woman. She can borrow for anybody in the family. She can borrow for her husband. One of the or I shouldn't say major, important loan category in Grameen Bank is a rickshaw. It's not the rickshaw she drives in the road. It's for her husband. So husband has a rickshaw or husband has a business. She's the one who takes the loan for him and they run the business. So this is how we address it. Men are not excluded. Nobody is excluded.
Okay, let's pick somebody up there, the orange shirt. So the question is that since Grameen and other entities such as those are not charities, how do you generate the resources, the finance to run those organizations?
Grameen Bank lends out over $100 million per month, and over a year, over $1 billion. All this money comes from our deposits. Not a single dollar is borrowed from outside or taken from a government or anybody else. We have 2,600 branches. And our policy is each branch must be self-sufficient with its own money. When you open a new branch, we take the batch of staff who will be going and setting it up. We give the address of the location of the new branch that we want to open to the manager of the new branch. So he goes with his address in his hand. We said, we don't give you any money. You go there and mobilize the deposits. And when you have the deposits, start lending money to the poor people in the area. So it's a local money going to the local poor people. And then this is easy. This is not difficult. The difficult part is within 1 year, you must come to the break-even point, covering all your expenses. Your income from your operation must be such that you cover all your expenses. So they have to maintain that. 80% of our new branches make that. Those who cannot make it to 1 year in 12 months, they may take 13 months, some may take 14 months, but this is the way we proceed. So it's a very self-reliant thing. It's not only simply covering the loan by your deposit. You must have a big reserve of your funds. Because Bangladesh is a disaster-prone country, any day you can be hit by a flood or a cyclone, and you have to start all over again. You don't expect this money to come back and lend them again. So what you do, you have now reserved. Even at disaster time, you don't want to go to the next branch, please lend us some money to do that. We don't allow that. You have to retain, you have to operate with your own money. So that's the whole thing. And you have to be profitable. So all these are basic conditions of Grameen Bank's operation. And that's why when we talk about microfinance, always I said that basic issue is to create a new legislative tool so that you can create a microfinance banks independently. So in the absence of that, microfinance cannot grow because now you're looking for money from this, money from donation, money from that contribution. That's not the way it can grow. In order to grow, it must solve its own problem by being a bank, taking deposits, and lending money.
Lady out there.
You have a tough choice, huh?
I'm so inspired by your talking about the global financial crisis as an opportunity.
Yes, of course.
And I'm wondering what conversations you've had or have been had between heads of state and yourself, particularly Barack Obama.
Yeah.
So the question is that what kinds of conversations Dr. Yunus has had with the heads of states of different countries, and particularly Barack Obama?
I didn't have a chance to talk to the new president yet, but I hope someday I'll have it. But definitely I've been talking about it. As I was explaining recently, I was in Davos, so I had the chance to meet lots of people there. Bringing this issue and also talking to the press all the time. That in Davos, I saw, and I was criticizing that, saying that everybody is so busy talking about the crisis and how to get out of it and what the bail packages should be, how it will be spent, all those things. I said, that's an important thing. But we should not devote 100% of our time discussing this. 50% is okay. You discuss this. Other 50% is how to redesign the system. Because this is just the right time to redesign the system. If you get out of the problem, you again come back to what quote unquote normalcy, you will never do anything else. You will never touch anything because it's working. When something works, you don't want to touch it. It's when it is not working, when it is the deepest of the crisis, you do the fundamental decisions. Let's get rid of it. Let's add this. We need this, and work with it. And with that, you create the new momentum and move in the new direction. And that is the time right now. And that's what we should be focusing on in every single way, in the press, in the classroom, in the boards, also in the research institutions, wherever it is. How do we redesign it? What are the features? First of all, before redesign, what are the objectives that you want to achieve in redesigning? Those objectives will be laid down. Then we redesign to achieve those objectives. And agree on the objectives is also a very important thing. That this is what we want to do, and this is what we don't want to do. And then we work for that. It's very important, I think. Thank you.
So maybe one final question. Okay, that gentleman in the last row. Yes, right, yes.
Dr. Yunus, everything you said today has pretty much been sad for me. Coming from the inner city and seeing the poverty in the inner city, a lot of what you just said reminds me of some initiatives in the inner city of New York. The question I have for you is, it seems like much of what you suggested works well in the particular country that you're in. How do you translate something like that to a country like the United States, where we have different perspectives and values? I mean, folks who come to business school, when they graduate, they seek to make six figures, probably better. But what you just said challenges that entire notion. So if you could help me out and probably help a lot of us out, how do you make that paradigm shift and make it work in this society?
So the question is that a lot of Grameen Bank's success has been, or at least started in Bangladesh. How do you translate that success to a country like the United States?
There are two sides of your question. One is whether Grameen Bank type thing can work in this country. It does. That's why I was just starting giving the example of Jackson Heights, Grameen America, where it works beautifully. So there is no doubt about that it works. The other side of it, would the Americans who, in your way, they are so focused on making financial success, whether as a salary or as a business, they're focused on one. Of course they will be focused on that because there's nothing else. The moment you bring something else, you'll see what a brilliant thing everybody will be doing on that ground too. Because it's the creativity of the person. They feel that they have the energy, they have the creativity, and they can make it. So that's why they are heading that, because this is a absolutely single purpose journey that we have to be successful, and success is measured by how much money you make, how much money you put in your bank account or your stock market, how much wealth you accumulated. That's a measure of success. But the moment you have the other types of it, then your success will be measured by how much difference you made in the world, because we are all competing to make more difference than others. Then, absolutely, there will be one creative idea after another will come, because that's where our success is. People feel frustrated. After I make billions of dollars, what do I do? So what does Bill Gates do? He retires and becomes a foundation president, because he says that part he has not done anymore, and he cannot do it in the business world. So he channels things to foundation. What does Warren Buffett do? He writes a $36 billion check, sends it to Bill Gates. He doesn't know what to do with this money. So I'm saying, no, you don't have to give it to anybody. You are a businessman. I suggested in my book, I suggested to Warren Buffett by saying that if I had the chance to talk to you before you wrote that check, I have advised you to use part of that money into a social business to bring health insurance to the 47 million people in this country who cannot afford health insurance. And it will be an excellent social business. And this is particularly true because Warren Buffett is an insurance man. He understands insurance very well. If he had paid his attention to the insurance problem of these 47 million people, it will be just like that, finished, completely done. So he will come up with a brilliant solution and make it a business out of it, a social business. Not making money, but a social business. Excellent solution to that problem. So these are the kind of things. You have to have the options. Today we created a theoretical world which doesn't give us option. We are converted into single-dimensional human being, a robot. And that's what I'm screaming about, that we are not robots. We are human beings. We are much, much bigger than that.
Well, on that note, please join me in thanking
Thank you.
Dr. Yunus.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
We have a small gift from the University of North Carolina to be given to Dr. Yunus.
Hello.
Do you want a mic?
Yeah, that's okay.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming, and for everyone watching, thanks so much for being a part of this. My name is Famida Azad. I'm the representative from ASHA, UNC's Bangladesh Humanitarian Awareness Organization. And I just have a little something to say to Professor Yunus.
Thank you.
Shraddha Professor Yunus, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
ইউএনসির পক্ষ থেকে আপনাকে জানাই প্রাণ ঢোলা অভিনন্দন সরি। আপনি এত দূর থেকে এসেছেন আমাদের মাঝে, তার জন্য আমরা আন্তরিকভাবে খুশি এবং আনন্দিত। আসলে আমাদের প্রজন্মের প্রবাসী বাঙালিদের জন্য আপনি বিশাল এক অনুপ্রেরণা। আর আপনার কাজে আমরা গর্বিত এবং উৎসাহিত। আমরা আশা করি যে আপনার মতো আমরা ভবিষ্যতে আমাদের দেশ বাংলাদেশের নাম উজ্জ্বল করতে পারবো। আমাদের মাঝে আসার জন্য অনেক অনেক ধন্যবাদ।
অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ। Thank you. Ashok. Thank you.
Dr. Yunus, my name is Ryan Latham, and I'm here with the Carolina Microfinance Initiative. On behalf of the Carolina Microfinance Initiative, ASHA, and all the students at this university who strive to solve issues of social justice, we would like to present you with this book. It represents this book that we've put together for the occasion. It represents the impact that your work has made on all of us and details some of the work that we have done to carry this movement forward, the movement that you started. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your willingness to reach out to students. And thank you for your visit. We're all honored.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a beautiful book. Thank you. Beautiful book.